At this time, I wanna discuss about my journal. So let's start it. So this is my title is The Cultivation of Empathy and Inclusivity, Cultural Education in Greta Gerwig's Little Woman 2019. So let's start it. So the background of the study is the Greta Gerwig's 2019, the adaptation of the novel Little Woman, published by Lucia M. Alcott in 1868. The uses the character genres to challenge traditional gender roles, illustrating themes of empathy and feminist education. The movie emphasizes emotional growth as a key part of the character's development, particularly in how they relate to others, versus social expectation. So this approach makes the movie relevant today, as it addresses gender issues that continue to be important in modern discussion nowadays about equality and social change. The study highlights how the movie not only reflects this ongoing concern but also encourages viewers to engage with ideas of inclusivity and emotional understanding. So can you see that the in here is the pictures of the family, the mom's morning and the Joe, and the next is Beth on the middle, and Amy, and Meg is the oldest sister. So so the literature review. Garrick's 2019 Little Woman highlights empathy and feminist education through humorous challenge to gender norms. This study shows how the movie promotes emotional growth and remains relevant to ongoing gender issues. So the intelligence as feminist cultural education. So emotional intelligence, or EI, is involved understanding and managing emotion, which is key to developing empathy and social connection. Values that align closely with feminist goals of care and inclusion. However, media studies in feminism have not fully explored how AI influences character development by audience engagement in movies and stories. By combining feminist theory with AI, researchers can be better analyze how media encourage empathy and inclusivity, helping to deepen culture, education, and promote social change. So, it's feminist theory and gender identity. So, feminist scholars such as Beauvoir, Woolf, Wolby, and Hooks have deeply analyzed how gender, power, and patriarchy shape social social structures and women's experiences. The highlight women's resistance and the importance of empowerment. However, these theories tend to focus more on ideological and structural issues and overlook the emotional development and interpersonal relationships that are essential for fostering empathy and inclusion. Understanding this emotional aspect and enrich feminist approaches to social change by emphasizing how empathy helps build inclusive communities. So the next is So the media representation and culture in empathy in A Little Woman is that highlights feminist growth and Jomar's challenge to gender norms. It emphasizes self-sufficiency and sisterhood but often lacks focus on emotional intelligence. Research should explore how the movie fosters emotional growth through relationship. The 2019 film Little Woman by Greta Briggs showcased the strong feminist themes focusing on the development of its female characters, especially Jo March, who challenges traditional gender roles, while the movie celebrates ideas like independence and sisterhood. Academic analysis has mostly concentrated on its feminist ideology rather than the emotional aspects. The movie also encourages emotional growth through the relationship and guidance shown among the characters, an area that deserves more research to understand how it promotes empathy and emotional intelligence alongside feminist message. So next is so let's go to the next. So this is a proposed method that the researcher will use in the study. So in the study, the researchers use a qualitative method to deeply analyze categories Little Women 2019. The study combines several approaches like content analysis, examines cuisine, and dialogue to identify feminist themes such as patriarchy and gender roles, empathy, and inclusivity. Yep. And then focusing especially on Jomar's journey towards independency and how to build the cultivation and inclusivity empathy in this movie. And then the narrative analysis explores how the characters' development and the story reflect wider social issues of gender and empowerment. Comparative analysis places the movie's message in dialogue with established feminist theories, like those of Simone de Beauvoir, to provide a stronger theoretical foundation. The discourse analysis look closely at the language used in the film to uncover how power dynamic and societal norms are both challenged and maintained. So the data collection is involved watching the movie, of course, in multiple times and subscribing relevant dialogues that highlight empathy, inclusivity, and feminist ideas. The combined analysis enable a true understanding of how the film is conveys feminist message, promotes the emotional growth, and encourages cultural education. Ultimately, the study shows how Jomars prepare or how Jomars represent resistance to patriarchal norms and how the film contributes to discussion on gender, emotion, and social change in media. So let's go to the next part. So the next part is result and discussion. So let's first thing first, let's talk about this Joe March dialogue. There is she said that women have minds and soul as well as heart, ambition and talent as well as beauty. I'm sick of being told that love is all a woman is fit for. But I'm so lonely. Yeah. So yeah, that's a really deep. So it is dialogue. Jomar's dialogue In this movie, the challenges generally meets promoting feminist idea of independence empathy, and it shows the emotional cost of a resistance and reinforce the movie message of inclusion and empowerment. This scene the Jomart's powerful dialogue was challenges the traditional roles assigned to women, emphasizing that women deserve recognition not only for love and beauty but also for their intellect and creativity. It connects closely with feminist stories by Simone de Beauvoir and Virginia Woolf, which call for women's independence and self-expression. This emotional struggle reflects the real cause of pushing against societal oppression, highlighting the emotional depth of feminist resistance from an emotional intelligence perspective. Her self-awareness and opens invite the audience to empathize with one's experiences. This moment is central to the film's wider message promoting inclusion, autonomy, and feminist empowerment through emotional storytelling and cultural education. So now let's take a look at the side. Like this is the pictures of two older sister make March. So March in this dialogue is like just because my dreams are different than yours doesn't mean they are unimportant, Joe. So in this scene that she told to Joe that she I mean the Meg is she wanna be married with his love of the life man, but Joe against his choices, her choices, I mean the sister, because June feels like it's Meg is beautiful. Like Joe is wanted Meg to become the artist. So, so that just because they have a different dream, so doesn't mean that it's are important. So but it promotes from the dialogue, makes dialogue that all women's dreams deserve respect, reflecting gay feminist ideas about valuing diverse and identities. It promotes empathy and inclusivity. So supporting the movie's message of honoring different words emphasize that every woman's aspirations are important and should be respected, highlighting feminist principles that celebrate diverse female identities, that encourage understanding and acceptance, reinforcing the movie's theme of embracing different journeys towards personal fulfillment. So, Mi'kmaq's dialogue that regardless of whether they align with social or female expectation. This reflects of broader feminist ideas about recognizing and valuing the diversity of women's identity and choices. By expressing this, the dialogue encourages empathy, understanding, and sharing the feeling for others, and inclusivity, the acceptance of different experience and perspective. It supports the film overall overall message, which celebrates honoring individual path towards fulfillment and challenges narrow definition of success and happiness for women. Yep. So that is actually the my dialogue is really related to us, right? So the next is comparison. And the first point is feminist portrayal. So, in the previous research highlight, focus on Jomart as a symbol of female independence and resistance to patriarchy, emphasize on gender roles and societal challenges. So, the contribution of this study is analysis of emotional intelligence and cultural education in feminist identity formation. Next is methodology. The second point is methodology. The on the previous research highlight primarily thematic and narrative analysis of character development and feminist theme. And the contribution of this study is employing multi-method qualitative approach like content, narrative, discourse, and cognitive analysis. So the next is emotional dimension. Previous research often underexplored or implicit in feminist critique. So in this study, contribution, explicitly integrates emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and empathy as culture education tools. The next point is inclusivity and empathy. So the limited from the previous research, limited exploration of inclusivity beyond feminist ideals, and the contribution of this study is highlight movies' roles in fostering inclusivity, empathy, and social responsibility. The next is cultural education. So the previous research is less focused on media as a pedagogical agent. So contribution of this study is frames Little Woman as a cultural educator advancing feminist empowerment through emotional growth. So and the last point, modern relevance. So from the previous research, the addresses struggle of women in historical contexts, some modern adaptation commentary. So contribution of this study is connects feminist theme in contemporary discussion on like identity, diversity and empowerment. So so I think that's from the for the conversion. So let's go to the next. So the next part is yeah. So the conclusion of this study. So the Little Woman in 2019 promotes empathy and feminist values by challenging patriarchal norms through Jomar's quote and Murphy's lesson in emotional intelligence. The study links feminist theory with emotional development to show that movies' cultural impact to limit it to one adaptation. The movie encourages ongoing conversation about gender and social change. This research show how the movie goes beyond a simple story of female independence by promoting empathy and feminist values through its character, especially Jo March and Mermaid. Jo's journey challenges traditional gender roles while Mermaid teaches emotional intelligence and social responsibility. By combining feminist theory with emotional development, the movie becomes a cultural tool that encourages viewers to understand diverse female experience and support social change. Although the study focused on one version of the movie, it highlights the movie broader impact in fostering ongoing discussion about gender, identity, and inclusivity. So, yep, that's the conclusion of the study. So the next is Alright, guys. So, thank you for your attention. That's all from me, Sibali Madhuzara. Sorry if I have some mistake. So, have a good day, everyone. So, I have had a small quote today from Coco Chanel. So, to all of the women out there, be who you are, not who the world wants you to be. So, thank you for your attention. Bye.